A woman who has become the first person diagnosed with Ebola in Britain has now been moved to a hospital in London. She's a volunteer nurse, and she had just returned to Scotland from Sierra Leone, one of the African countries hardest hit by the Ebola crisis. She tested positive Monday after reporting feeling symptoms. She was then transferred from Scotland to a special treatment clinic in London. That happened a little bit earlier today. Two other people in Britain are being tested for Ebola, one in Scotland and another in southwest England. I want to go to CNN senior international correspondent Nic Robertson. He joins us now from outside London's Royal Free Hospital, where the nurse with Ebola is now being treated. Any update on her condition and more on this case?
No update from the hospital here so far, Jim. She's in the high secure intensity unit here for treatment. This is a unit that was set up in 2006 to treat people with Ebola, with other types of very infectious diseases. They successfully treated a patient here with Ebola several months ago. The best, or if you will, the most recent information we have on this nurse's condition came from the Scottish First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon, a little earlier. She said, given the circumstances, she is as well as can be expected. British media say the nurse is Pauline Cafferkey. She's from Blantyre, just outside of Glasgow. She's been a nurse in a health centre there for quite a few years. She volunteered to work with Save the Children in Sierra Leone. She'd flown out of there over the weekend, taking a late evening flight from London to Glasgow on Sunday evening. Monday morning, yesterday morning, waking up, feeling unwell, going to a hospital. But of course, that has left authorities with the task of tracking down all the people on board the aircrafts that she travelled on, from Sierra Leone, Freetown there to Casablanca in Morocco, Casablanca onto Heathrow, and Heathrow onto Glasgow. Now, that Heathrow-Glasgow flight had 70 passengers, and what we've heard from Scottish officials now is they say they've contacted so far 63 of them to let them know that they were on a flight with somebody who has the Ebola virus. But for her condition right now, doctors at this hospital who have expertise dealing with Ebola are not saying how she's doing, Jim.
Nick, we also hear this report that one person in England and one person there in Scotland are being tested, I believe, for Ebola, or being looked at more closely for Ebola. Are these people who came in close contact with her after she returned?
Jim, the details really aren't clear. There are a few things that we do know. Somebody being treated in hospital in Cornwall, right in the southwest of Britain, and then somebody in the northeast of Scotland, now in a hospital in Aberdeen, being tested also for Ebola-like symptoms. It may be 24 hours before we get those results. So they're quite a sort of a large geographic diversity of area there. But what we understand is that Pauline Cafferkey, as she's been identified by the British media, travelled back, or is believed to have travelled back from Sierra Leone, perhaps with another group of health workers who've been there working on Ebola. Now, are these other people, were they on that flight coming back? One of them we know, the one in the northeast of Scotland, had been in Sierra Leone, but according to authorities, had not been in direct contact with people who had Ebola. So it's possible, the reason we're seeing this little spike of people who have potential symptoms of Ebola is that perhaps they all came back on that same flight or have just returned towards the end of the year here, Jim.